When it comes to the FIFA World Cup, there's no storyline that captures the world's attention quite like an underdog nation that exceeds expectations. Over the course of 22 tournaments that date back to 1930, we have seen some of the most captivating, exciting, and dramatic football being played out by dark horse nations that enter the competition with little to no hope of winning it all. But even with the odds stacked against them, certain nations rise up to the occasion and produce moments of magic that remain in the memories of football fans for generations to come. Today, we're taking a look at the 10 best underdog runs in World Cup history based on the quality of their respective teams, the strength of the opponents they faced, and the lasting legacy that these performances have left behind. Everyone loves a good underdog story, so let's take a look at the runs that truly shocked the world. Coming in at number 10, we have Romania's run to the quarterfinals at the 1994 FIFA World Cup. The Romanian team that traveled to the United States was filled with modern-day legends like Gheorghe Hagi, Florin Răducioiu, and Dan Petrescu, to name a few. But at the time, very few people would have predicted that this side could go further than the group stage considering the strength of their opponents. Romania were drawn into Group A alongside Switzerland, the host nation USA, and Colombia. Their first match against Colombia was played at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena in front of nearly 90,000 fans, but no one could have predicted the final scoreline, with Gheorghe Hagi scoring one of the goals of the tournament in the 34th minute with his iconic chip shot goal, followed by a brace from Răducioiu in the 16th and 89th minute. Romania started their campaign with a dominant but unexpected 3-1 victory. However, their momentum did not carry over in their second match against the other European nation in their group, Switzerland. Gheorghe Hagi continued his form by scoring in the 35th minute, but Switzerland played some excellent football to gain the upper hand, ultimately coming away with a 4-1 victory, handing Romania their first loss. With their backs against the wall and in desperate need of a victory, the Romanians returned to the Rose Bowl to face the United States. It was a tightly contested match over the course of 90 minutes, but with Dan Petrescu's impressive goal in the 18th minute, Romania went on to grab a 1-0 win as they finished in first place in Group A with 6 points. The Romanian side were hoping to face an easier side in the round of 16, but as luck would have it, they were drawn against Argentina, winners of the 1986 World Cup and runners-up of the 1990 World Cup. With Diego Maradona being banned from the tournament due to a failed drug test, Romania used that to their advantage to play out one of the most exciting and dramatic matches in World Cup history, with Ilie Dumitrescu scoring a brace in the 11th and 18th minute, followed by Gabriel Batistuta's penalty goal in the 16th minute. Romania went into halftime with a surprising 2-1 lead. Gheorghe Hagi's goal in the 58th minute would force the Argentines to go into full attack mode, but with just one more goal from Abel Balbo in the 75th minute, Romania went on to grab a historic 3-2 victory in what is their greatest ever achievement on the world's biggest stage. The Romanians went on to face Sweden in the quarterfinals, but the final outcome of this match wouldn't be as glamorous as before. With a scoreless first half and a very close second half, goals from Per Brolin in the 78th minute and Florin Răducioiu in the 88th minute would force the match to go to extra time. Romania would take the lead from Răducioiu's second goal in the 101st minute, but Kenneth Anderson's equalizer in the 115th minute would force the match to go to penalties. With an extremely intense penalty shootout taking place, it would be Miodrag Belodedic's strike that would fail to find the back of the net, ultimately resulting in a 5-4 penalty victory for Sweden. Romania's run at the 1994 FIFA World Cup ended in heartbreaking fashion, but with some incredible moments along the way, their golden generation still remains in the memory of football fans around the world. Moving on to number 9 on our list, we have Cameroon's run to the quarterfinals at the 1990 FIFA World Cup. The Cameroonian team that traveled to Italy had only one star player and goalkeeper Thomas Nkono, followed by a 38-year-old Roger Milla who many counted out, and a squad of players who had little to no experience with major European clubs. The expectations for this side couldn't have been any lower, with a group stage exit being the ceiling for the African side. Cameroon were drawn into Group B alongside Romania, Argentina, and the Soviet Union, and what came next was truly shocking. Their first game was played at the San Siro in Milan in front of nearly 70,000 spectators, and with Diego Maradona leading the way for the Argentines, it should have been a walk in the park for the South Americans. But with some incredible resilience, some truly physical defending, 2 red cards in the 61st and 88th minute, and a shocking goal from Oman Biik in the 67th minute, Cameroon came away with an unthinkable 1-0 victory in their opening match. Cameroon's confidence skyrocketed after their win against Argentina, and with Roger Milla's brace in the 76th and 86th minute in their second match versus Romania, Cameroon went on to grab yet another win with a 2-1 victory. The African side went into their final match brimming with confidence, but even with a 4-0 loss to the Soviet Union, they went on to top Group B with 4 points, something that truly seemed impossible just 10 days earlier. Cameroon went on to face Colombia in the round of 16, and everyone was certain that their Cinderella story was going to end here. After a 10 tense 90 minutes that produced no goals, the match went into extra time stuck at 0-0. With an incredible finish in the 106th minute and a goal that came from the Colombian keeper's mistake in the 108th minute, Roger Milla scored a brace that gave Cameroon an unthinkable 2-0 lead. One more goal from the Colombians would come in the 115th minute, but with the referee's final whistle, the African side went on to grab a historic 2-1 victory after 120 minutes. Cameroon were drawn against England for the quarterfinal tie, and what came next is one of the most iconic matches in World Cup history. With David Platt's goal in the 25th minute, followed by Emmanuel Kounde's penalty goal in the 61st minute and Eugene Akeke's goal in the 65th minute, Cameroon were just 8 minutes away from a historic semi-final appearance. But with Gary Lineker's goal from the penalty spot in the 83rd minute, the match was forced to go to extra time stuck at 2-2. In the 105th minute, Lineker went on to score yet another penalty for England, and with the referee's final whistle, Cameroon's run at the 1990 World Cup came to a heartbreaking end after a 3-2 loss in the quarterfinals. Despite the loss to England, Cameroon took the world by storm with their resilience and determination to their craft, and the indomitable Lions will always have a soft spot in the hearts of football fans around the world. Moving on to number 8 on our list, we have Senegal's run to the quarterfinals at the 2002 FIFA World Cup. The Senegalese team that traveled to Asia was anchored by captain Aliou Cissé in defense and led by El Hadji Diouf on the offensive side of the field, but the rest of the squad were relatively unknown outside of Ligue 1 and African football. The 2002 edition of the tournament was the first time that Senegal were playing on the world's biggest stage, and the expectations were extremely low for the African side. Senegal were drawn into Group A alongside Denmark, Uruguay, and France, and for a team that had never played in the World Cup before, they made an instant impact. Senegal's first match was against the reigning World Cup and European Championship winners France, and in front of 62,000 fans in the South Korean capital of Seoul, the African side went on to grab a historic victory. With a single goal coming from Bouba Diop in the 30th minute, Senegal went on to grab a 1-0 victory over France, which set the tone for the rest of the tournament. They faced yet another European side in their second match versus Denmark, and with a penalty goal from Jon Thomassen in the 16th minute and another goal from Salif Diao in the 52nd minute, the match ended as a 1-1 draw for both sides. Their third match against Uruguay was a 6-goal thriller, and despite Senegal's 3-0 lead going into halftime, the match ended as a 3-3 draw after 90 minutes of thrilling football. With 5 points on the board after 3 matches and a second place finish in Group A, Senegal went on to face Sweden in the round of 16. The match started with Henrik Larsson's goal in the 11th minute, but with Henri Camara's goal in the 37th minute, the match ended after 90 minutes stuck at 1-1. The Senegalese players battled hard until the very end, and with Camara's golden goal coming in the 104th minute, the African side came away with a thrilling 2-1 victory, securing them a spot in the quarterfinals. Their quarterfinal tie saw them go up against another dark horse side in Turkey, but this is where their miracle run eventually came to an end. After a back and forth 90 minutes that saw Senegal have more of the ball, the match ended 0-0 after 90 minutes. It would take just 4 minutes into the extra frame for Ilhan Menzies to score the golden goal winner, and with their 1-0 loss to Turkey after extra time, Senegal's time in Asia would come to a heartbreaking end. Senegal made history by advancing to the quarterfinals in only their first ever World Cup, and their achievements in South Korea and Japan still live on in footballing folklore to this day. Moving on to number 7 on our list, we have Ghana's run to the quarterfinals at the 2010 FIFA World Cup. The Ghanaian team that traveled to South Africa had a well-balanced and disciplined squad led by star players Asamoah Gyan, Kevin Prince Boateng, and Andre Ayew. This Ghanaian side had the potential to make it out of the group stage, but whatever came their way in the knockout rounds was bound to test their abilities. Ghana were drawn into Group D alongside Germany, Australia, and Serbia, and they started things off on the right foot. Their first match against Serbia was a tense and tactical match, with Asamoah Gyan's penalty in the 85th minute leading the way to a 1-0 victory for the African side. Their second match against Australia was just as close as their first game, and with a goal from Brett Holman in the 11th minute, followed by another penalty goal from Asamoah Gyan in the 25th minute, the match ended as a 1-1 draw. Their third match was against tournament favorites Germany, and despite their solid efforts in defense, Mesut Ozil's goal in the 60th minute would lead to a 1-0 loss for Ghana. With 4 points on the board and the second place finish in Group D, Ghana went on to face the United States in the round of 16. With Kevin Prince Boateng's goal in the 5th minute, followed by Landon Donovan's penalty goal in the 62nd minute, the match went into extra time stuck at 1-1. It took just 3 minutes for Asamoah Gyan to score his third goal of the tournament in stunning fashion in the 93rd minute, and with their 2-1 victory over the United States, Ghana went on to secure their spot in the quarterfinals. Ghana went on to face Uruguay in the quarterfinals in a match that is still talked about to this day, and one that is remembered for one of the most controversial moments in World Cup history. The first goal in this match came from a thunderous strike from Souley Montari just before halftime, and with Diego Forlan's response in the 55th minute, the match was headed to extra time. Ghana were just inches away from scoring the winning goal with just seconds left to go, but with Luis Suarez blocking the ball with his hands, he was sent off and Ghana were awarded a penalty. With a chance to win the match and with the possibility of going to the semi-finals on the line, Asamoah Gyan's penalty hit the crossbar, which would force the game to go to penalties. Ghana went on to miss their third and fourth penalty attempts, which ultimately led to Uruguay winning the match by a 4-2 scoreline on penalties, knocking out Ghana in the most gut-wrenching way possible. Ghana were truly the shining star for the African continent in 2010, and even though their run ended in heartbreaking fashion, they are an eternal part of World Cup history. Moving on to number 6 on our list, we have Costa Rica's run to the quarterfinals at the 2014 FIFA World Cup. The Costa Rican team that traveled to Brazil was led by goalkeeper Keylor Navas in defense and by midfielder Brian Ruiz as their captain, but the rest of the squad was relatively unknown before the start of the tournament. Before the first kick of a ball, Costa Rica were expected to finish last in their group given the strength of their opponents. Costa Rica were drawn into Group D alongside Uruguay, Italy, and England, and the general consensus at the time was that they would lose all 3 of their matches by quite some margin. They went on to grab a statement victory in their opening match against Uruguay with goals from Campbell, Duarte, and Urena propelling the team to earn a crazy 3-1 comeback victory over the South Americans. Costa Rica went on to prove that their hot start wasn't just a fluke, and with a 1-0 victory against Italy where they looked like the dominant side throughout, they went on to secure qualification to the knockout rounds after just 2 matches. Their final match versus England ended as a 0-0 draw, and after 3 impressive matches against better opposition, Costa Rica finished in first place in Group D with 7 points. They went on to face Greece in the round of 16, and the Costa Rican side managed to secure a victory with just 10 men on the pitch. With Brian Ruiz's goal in the 52nd minute, followed by a red card to Oscar Duarte in the 66th minute and a stoppage time equalizer from Greece, the match went to penalties after a crazy 120 minutes of action. Costa Rica were perfect from the spot, and with Fanis Gekas missing Greece's 4th spot kick, the Costa Ricans went on to secure a 5-3 penalty victory, earning them a quarterfinal tie versus the Netherlands. This quarterfinal match was highlighted by the Dutch side giving it their all on attack, but with some incredible saves from Keylor Navas, the match was headed to a penalty shootout after a scoreless 120 minutes. Just before the shootout, Dutch manager Louis van Gaal made the bold decision to replace Jasper Cillessen with Tim Krul in a decision that would change World Cup history forever. Krul went on to save Costa Rica's 2nd and 5th attempt, and with an all-time performance from the Dutch keeper, the match ended as a 4-3 penalty victory for the Netherlands. Costa Rica shocked the world with their performances at the 2014 FIFA World Cup for all the right reasons, and they will always be remembered as a fan-favorite dark horse in this tournament's long and rich history. Moving on to number 5 on our list, we have Bulgaria's run to the semi-finals at the 1994 FIFA World Cup. The Bulgarian team that traveled to the United States was filled with talented players from the get-go, led by players like Hristo Stoichkov, Emil Kostadinov, and Borislav Mihailov, and it felt like their golden generation had finally arrived. Even with a talented squad on paper, most people wouldn't have seen Bulgaria making it past the round of 16, considering that they had never won a match at the World Cup before, despite qualifying for 5 previous tournaments. Bulgaria were drawn into a group containing Nigeria, Argentina, and Greece, and things did not get off to a good start for the Eastern European side. With a painful 3-0 loss to Nigeria in their first game, the general feeling was that Bulgaria's disappointing results on the world's biggest stage were set to continue. Things would go much smoother for them in their second game versus Greece, and with a brace of penalties from Stoichkov and 2 more goals from Lechkov and Borimirov, they went on to grab a dominant 4-0 win. The Bulgarians went into their final match against Argentina in a must-win scenario, and with Maradona's expulsion from the tournament, they went on to grab a convincing 2-0 win over their South American counterparts. Bulgaria finished in second place in Group D with 6 points, setting up a round of 16 tie against Mexico. Their match against Mexico was dramatic from the very start, and with goals from Stoichkov and Aspe in the first half, followed by red cards to Krem and Liev and Garcia in the second half, the game would eventually lead to a penalty shootout. With a superstar performance from Borislav Mihailov and with Lechkov's successful spot kick, Bulgaria went on to secure a 3-1 penalty victory over Mexico, setting up a quarterfinal tie versus Germany. Germany were the reigning world champions at the time, and after Lothar Matthäus scored the opening goal in the 47th minute, it seemed as if Bulgaria's run in this tournament was coming to an end. But against all odds, a beautiful goal from Stoichkov in the 75th minute, and with Lechkov's diving header in the 78th minute, Bulgaria secured a historic 2-1 victory, setting up a semi-final tie versus Italy. Italy were the stronger side in the semi-final, and with 2 quick goals from Roberto Baggio in the 21st and 25th minute, followed by Stoichkov's penalty in the 44th minute, the match ended as a 2-1 victory for Italy, sending Bulgaria to the 3rd place playoff. The 3rd place playoff saw Bulgaria go up against Sweden, and with the Nordic side coming away with a dominant 4-0 victory, Bulgaria's time in the United States ended with a 4th place finish. Bulgaria captured the world's attention with the dominance and flair of their golden generation at the 1994 FIFA World Cup, and their achievements at this tournament solidified their legacy in the memories of millions of football fans. Moving on to number 4 on our list, we have Croatia's run to the semi-finals at the 1998 FIFA World Cup. The Croatian team that traveled to France was filled with legitimate talent, with Davor Šuker, Zvonimir Boban, and Stavan Bilic leading the way for Croatia. Although they had a solid talented squad on paper, this was Croatia's first time competing as an independent nation, and most people couldn't see them making it past the round of 16. Croatia were drawn into Group H alongside Argentina, Jamaica, and Japan, and they made an immediate impact on the world's biggest stage. With a dominant 3-1 victory over Jamaica, Croatia proved to the world that their inaugural tournament wasn't going to be a waste of time. Their second match versus Japan was much tighter, but with a goal from Davor Šuker in the 77th minute, Croatia went on to win their second consecutive match without breaking a sweat. Their final match versus Argentina ended as a 1-0 loss, and with 6 points on the board from 3 matches, Croatia finished in second place in Group H, setting up a round of 16 encounter with Romania. Romania's golden generation was still in full effect, but with a penalty goal from Šuker just before halftime, Croatia held on for a surprising 1-0 victory, setting up a quarterfinal tie versus Germany. Croatia's matchup versus the reigning European champions was easily their best performance of the tournament, and with a staggering 3-0 win over the Germans, Croatia went on to face the host nation France in the semi-finals. The Croatian side opened the scoring in stunning fashion with Šuker's goal in the 46th minute, but with an unexpected brace from Lilian Thuram in the 47th and 70th minute, the match ended as a 2-1 victory for France, forcing Croatia to play in the third place playoff. Croatia took their third place match versus the Netherlands seriously, and with 2 goals coming in the first half, they went on to secure a 2-1 victory, claiming third place at their first ever World Cup as an independent nation. Croatia proved to the world that anything is possible when you put your mind to it, and their run at the 1998 FIFA World Cup is still widely talked about to this day. Moving on to number 3 on our list, we have Turkey's run to the semi-finals at the 2002 FIFA World Cup. The Turkish team that traveled to Asia was extremely well-rounded, with Hakan Şükür, Rüştü Reçber, and Alpay Özalan leading the way. This Turkey side had a strong team on paper, and while a quarterfinal appearance may have been predicted before the tournament, anything more would have been an overachievement. Turkey were drawn into Group C alongside Brazil, Costa Rica, and China, and things didn't start off too well for them. Their opening match saw them face off against Brazil, and even though they took a surprising lead before halftime, they eventually lost the match by 2-1. Their efforts to redeem themselves in their second match versus Costa Rica fell flat, with Emre's goal in the 56th minute getting cancelled out by Winston Parks' effort in the 86th minute, leading to a 1-1 draw. Turkey went into their third match versus China in a must-win scenario, and with goals from Hasan Şaş, Bülent Korkmaz, and Umit Davala, Turkey finished second in Group C with 4 points, leading to a round of 16 tie with co-host Japan. The match was extremely close between the two sides, but with Umit Davala's header in the 12th minute, Turkey held on for a 1-0 victory, setting up a quarter-final tie versus Senegal. Their first game against African opposition was a tense and physical battle, and it took a golden goal from İlhan Menzies in the 94th minute to secure a 1-0 victory for Turkey, setting up a semi-final tie versus Brazil. Their second game versus Brazil at the tournament was a tightly contested affair, and despite Turkey's defensive efforts, Ronaldo went on to score the winner in the 49th minute, forcing Turkey to play in the third place playoff. The third place match was contested between co-hosts South Korea and Turkey, and with the fastest goal in World Cup history coming after just 11 seconds, Turkey held on for a thrilling 3-2 victory, finishing the tournament in third place. Turkey exceeded expectations on their way to a historic third place finish at the 2002 FIFA World Cup, and their efforts will always be remembered as an all-time dark horse performance. Moving on to number 2 on our list, we have Croatia's run to the 2018 World Cup final. The Croatian team that traveled to Russia was filled with talent at every position, as they were led by Luka Modric, Ivan Rakitic, Mario Mandzukic, and Marcelo Brozovic. This Croatian side was widely respected in Europe for their style of play, but no one would have expected them to make it all the way to the final match. Croatia were drawn into Group D alongside Argentina, Nigeria, and Iceland, and while qualification to the knockout rounds was expected, their sheer dominance in the opening round was truly mesmerizing. They began their campaign with a dominant 2-0 victory over Nigeria, with Modric and Rakitic setting the tone for what was to come. Their second game against Argentina was an offensive masterclass from start to finish, with goals from Rebic, Modric, and Rakitic leading to a thrilling 3-0 victory. With a guaranteed spot in the next round, Croatia played out a relaxing 2-1 victory over Iceland in their final group game, as they finished at the top of Group D with 9 points, setting up a round of 16 tie versus Denmark. The opening 5 minutes of this match saw goals from both Mattias Jorgensen and Mario Mandzukic, but with Kasper Schmeichel's penalty save over Luka Modric in extra time, the match was forced to go to a penalty shootout. A crazy penalty shootout saw both teams miss 5 kicks while scoring 5 kicks, and with Rakitic's effort finding the back of the net, Croatia held on for a 3-2 victory on penalties, leading to a quarter-final tie versus the host nation Russia. This quarter-final tie was truly incredible to watch as a neutral fan, and with Denis Cherishev's screamer in the 31st minute getting cancelled out by Andrej Kramaric's goal in the 39th minute, the match was headed to extra time. Croatia were just 19 minutes away from a semi-final tie after Domagoj Vida's header in the 101st minute, but with Mario Fernandes scoring the equalizer with 5 minutes left to go, Croatia were forced to go into yet another penalty shootout. With Smolov and Fernandes missing their spot kicks, Ivan Rakitic went on to score yet another winner, giving Croatia a 4-3 victory on penalties, setting up a semi-final tie versus England. With Kieran Trippier's blistering free kick in the 5th minute, Ivan Perisic went on to grab a stunning goal of his own in the 68th minute, leading to Croatia's third consecutive match that required extra time. This affair wouldn't be resolved with yet another penalty shootout, and with Mario Mandzukic scoring the winner in the 109th minute, Croatia held on for a 2-1 victory, claiming their ticket to their first ever World Cup final. The final match of the 2018 FIFA World Cup was played out between France and Croatia, but their Cinderella story would unfortunately conclude with a bitter ending. Despite 2 goals from Perisic and Mandzukic in the 28th and 69th minute, France were the dominant side from the very first kick of a ball as they came away with a 4-2 victory. Croatia finished as runners-up at the 2018 FIFA World Cup, but their inspiring performances and unwavering resilience makes them one of the most iconic teams to have ever played in the competition. Moving on to number 1 on our list, we have Morocco's run to the semi-finals at the 2022 FIFA World Cup. The Moroccan team that traveled to Qatar was filled with both potential superstars and established players, led by Achraf Hakimi, Sofiane Amrabat, and Yassine Bono. While a place in the round of 16 was expected, there was no predicting just how far this Moroccan side would eventually go. Their first game against Croatia was a defensive masterclass as they were able to contain Croatia's superstar midfield trio, eventually leading to a 0-0 draw. Their second game against Belgium would end in a massive upset, with 2 goals from Saiss in the 73rd minute and Abu Klal in stoppage time, leading to an incredible 2-0 victory. Morocco's third game against Canada started off with 2 quick goals from Ziyech and En-Nesyri in the 4th and 23rd minute, and despite conceding an own goal just before halftime, the African side held on for a 2-1 win. With a first place finish in Group F and with 7 points on the board, Morocco went on to face Spain in the round of 16. Despite having just 23% possession and just 2 shots on target, Morocco's defense refused to be beaten, forcing the game to go to a penalty shootout. With Spain missing all 3 of their spot kicks, Morocco held on to grab a 3-0 victory on penalties, setting up a quarter-final tie against Portugal. Once again, Morocco had very little of the ball as they managed to have just 27% possession with 3 shots on target, but with Youssef En-Nesyri's stunning header in the 42nd minute, Morocco went on to grab a shocking 1-0 victory, setting up a semi-final tie versus France. Morocco played a much more offensive style of football in this match, but with an early goal from Theo Hernandez and a late goal from Randall Kolo Muani, France went on to grab a 2-0 victory, forcing Morocco to play in the 3rd place playoff. Morocco played to their strengths in their final match, but even with a goal from Achraf Dari in the 9th minute, Croatia went on to secure a 2-1 victory, leading Morocco to settle for a 4th place finish. Morocco made history by beating some stellar opposition on their way to their first ever semi-final at the 2022 FIFA World Cup, and despite the relatively fresh result, this run will be talked about for many years to come. These 10 sides produced some of the most iconic underdog performances in World Cup history, and the legacies that they leave behind will be remembered by many generations of football fans to come. But what did you think of my top 10 underdog runs in World Cup history list? Are there any entries that you would move higher or lower, and are there any that you would switch out? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more football content, tier lists, and everything in between, and as always, I'll catch you next time.